I spent $555 at a Nigerian brand and the clothes fell apart in 24 hours. A month has passed and I'm not as angry as I was a month ago, but I did want to use the experience to talk. I'm not going to name the designer, first of all, because if you're clocked into Nigerian fashion at all, you can take one look at the designs and know exactly who the designer is. But because I feel like there is a wider and more important conversation to be had around the topic. Some months ago, I said that Nigerian fashion is the future and the future of fashion is in Nigeria. And I just wanted to make this video to talk about, is that still true? If you've been on the internet at all, you would have known that Nigerian designers are killing it.
Hello there, beautiful people. I just got back from Lagos, Nigeria, and I want to show you all the clothes that I picked up while I was there.
With me to go shopping in Lagos, Nigeria.
Is a Nigerian designer appreciation video. Came back from Lagos on Monday and my bag was overweight. We love Nigerian fashion, and for good reason. It's a total breath of fresh air with regards to the designs, with regards to the fact that they're made for all different body types, with regards to the fact that, at least until very recently, it was quite accessible with regards to the price point. Nigerian fashion tends to be small scale. This is a negative and a positive. It's a negative because it's born of a lack of infrastructure. Most notably in Nigeria, you're not going to have 24-hour electricity. And when you lack 24-hour electricity, that really stunts your ability to grow because you're not going to be able to invest in some of the more advanced technology and machinery that would allow you to produce more with the same amount of capital and human resources. So what you will have is that, opposed to the factories and sweatshops that we see in other countries, in Nigeria, most fashion houses are a designer tailor that is doing everything themselves, or a head designer that works with multiple tailors to produce the pieces. And so, especially because they couldn't really compete on price or quantity, Nigerian designers especially had to kill it with the creativity, and they have been. The reward for Nigerian design creativity is that the brands are going viral, and in response to this newfound international virality, the designers are choosing to essentially abandon their Nigerian audience. All over the internet, we can see local Nigerians complaining about the fact that they can no longer afford Nigerian designers.
Good morning, Nigerian designers. Nigerian designers, please. Nigerian designers, please, mo bebe. Allow us buy Nigeria.
So I have a question for those who are based in Nigeria. I'm going to show you guys some outfits, and I need you guys to tell me if these outfits are actually worth the prices that I'm getting quoted, or are they just trying to rip me off? Or am I just being too broke? At this point, I'm not too sure, because the prices I've been getting, I feel like, are outrageous, and I don't think it's actually worth the price. But again, I'm not an expert. I just know that the prices are too high.
Nigerian clothing brands are becoming way too expensive. The idea to have Nigerian made clothes and Nigerian clothing brand is so we can have affordable clothing to every Nigerian. But at the moment, high fashion costs past Zara. You can't even afford high fashion as a Nigerian again. Are you guys making this dress for just celebrities, or you are making it for just musicians? Let us know. Yes, it's okay to inflate your price to do as you wish, but the funniest part is that the upcoming brands are copying the same thing.
And not only is this sad that, the local people that are actually inspiring and oftentimes producing the clothes themselves can't afford them, the international buyers are not getting a great deal either. As an international buyer, when we come and we approach Nigerian brands, we're to an extent expecting the same kind of behavior as H&M and Zara, though we don't want it. We don't want the exploitation, but we do want the curated websites with in-stock pieces that we can order and receive easily in a short amount of time, which is completely impossible when you're operating with a small team of tailors and one designer. It is obviously not sustainable or environmentally friendly either. But it's what we expect, and because we have higher salaries than your local Nigerian, we are able to pay a little bit more for it. The Nigerian designers have heard this, and they're charging to match what they feel like the international consumer can afford, but because, as I said, the infrastructure is just not there to scale up, you usually do not find the same match of quality with this increase in price, which leaves us with either a subpar service and product in the case that they are actually producing in Nigeria, or worse, in the case that they decide to cut even further and produce outside of Nigeria. Personally, as with all things, I think that balance is truly the key. I think that you can appeal and target your international audience while not abandoning your roots, your culture, your ethics, and your local consumers. I don't necessarily think that higher prices is a bad thing, so long as that increased price also comes with an increase in quality, because you are paying more skilled people fair wages for those skills. Had the construction of this garment been better and could have justified that $500 price tag, I would have been fine. I paid the money knowing what the cost was. I was just expecting the quality to be something else. I was lucky enough to be able to live out my Yoruba bride dream, and I did have a actual custom ashoke wedding dress, and my husband also had an ashoke outfit as well that was designed by an actual designer and assembled by very skilled tailors, and the materials that they were assembling were actually produced in Nigeria. This is a point because while most of the production of Nigerian fashion garments are produced locally, which we love, the materials themselves, more times than not, are imported from China. There have been multiple failed attempts by the Nigerian government to try and save the Nigerian textile industry, but it is such that, as of today, 70% of the materials being sold in Nigeria are imported because they cost less, and also in Nigeria, people want to pay less for their clothes. So it was really cool to me when I was getting my wedding outfits made, the fact that they were using the indigenous ashoke weaving fabric and technique. There was an actual artisan that sat at a loom for weeks to produce the fabric that would then be made into my clothes. We only really see a Nigeria from start to finish production when we're looking at certain pieces, such as wedding outfits, or there are some designers, like for example Moye Africa, very well known for her ashoke pants. They are actually ashoke material made in Nigeria, and so they have an elevated price because of that. This Is Us Nigeria, their clothes are actually dyed with the local indigenous technique in northern Nigeria. These are the kinds of clothes that are start to finish Nigerian, and they do have a higher price. But because they're using very skilled Nigerian artisans, you can see the quality. Like my Nigerian wedding dress, I was able to not only put it on and dance around in it my whole wedding, but I was able to put it on again a year later and redo my wedding photos. And even now, I actually want to have the dress cut into a shorter dress so I can wear it to other occasions. So yeah, you've made it, raise your price, but please make sure that the quality matches the price that you're charging people, because otherwise it's just a cash grab, it's just a gimmick, and it will not last. As I said, you do not need to exclude your local customer base. Dual pricing does exist. Like maybe you have a normal collection that is at normal Nigerian prices that Nigerians can afford, and every like trimester or every season you'll have a capsule that is more intricate and targeted at your international buyers. At the end of the day, I'm not a Nigerian designer, so these are not really my problems to solve, but for the good of everybody, producers, consumers, and to even just have a Nigerian industry that is flourishing and able to give back to the community, pay taxes, be a benefit to all of us, we want it to be long term. We want it to have a future. And in order for it to have a future, it must be sustainable. So these are all issues that need to be addressed. I once said that Nigerian fashion is the future of fashion because Nigerian fashion already does what a lot of Western fashion brands are being called to do by their consumers. One, as I said, craftsmen are at the center. People aren't buying white t-shirts from Nigerian fashion designers, really. They're buying an idea, they're buying an identity, they're buying culture, they're buying actual designs. So the fact that Nigerian fashion is so craftsman oriented and craftsmanship centered, that is something that we shouldn't be losing. Though it is born from the lack of infrastructure, many Nigerian brands depend on their craftsmen to hand make their garments, and this leads to less waste, less pollution, and more value staying with the actual person producing the garment. Second thing, Nigerian fashion is made to order. You guys, you're gonna have the best results from Nigerian fashion when you actually take your measurements, show the design, give them to your designer or tailor, and have something custom made in that moment. When you expect ready to wear mass production from Nigerian fashion that doesn't have the infrastructure to provide it, obviously you're going to be met with a disaster. Nigerian fashion should stay, in my opinion, made to order for the most part, because not only it does that, again, provide more value for both the customer and the producer, but it's the only way that that sort of creativity and craftsmanship focused model can work. And lastly, when done correctly, made to order will allow for there to be way less waste. When you're doing custom designs that are actually made by a skilled artisan, they will last you for a lifetime, essentially. And even so, even if they don't, they can be mended, they can be changed, they can be reworked. So this allows for us to get more wear out of our clothes rather than having that low quality mass produced piece that is just going to end up in a landfill. Lastly, and I don't really know if Western fashion can learn this, but it is the culture. Nigerian fashion has a culture of fashion. I mentioned it in my last video with the fact that it doesn't matter your social class, every Nigerian has a tailor of reference, because whether it's a birthday, a funeral, or a wedding, the tailor is going to make your clothes. And also Nigerians have the mentality, at least when it comes to clothes, to maintaining those clothes. Like if something is ripped, they're gonna get it to a tailor to get it sewn back together. And so all of this contributes to what ends up being a very tailor-focused culture that was lost in the West. A culture that all goes back to the beginning to encourage craftsmanship, encourage low waste, encourage creativity, encourage the mentality of reusing and getting the most out of your clothes. So yeah, in conclusion, I don't think that Nigerian fashion needs to be copying Western fashion in the sense of exploitation and profit maximization, which is what we saw in my first example. No, it is Western fashion that should be adopting the sustainable, ethical, cultural practices of Nigerian fashion. We need to be keeping Nigerian fashion Nigerian. Not to be like super nationalist, but I just feel like this is a really important conversation to be had, because as Africans and specifically as Nigerians, we have so much. Human greed is what often kills us. The reason why Nigeria doesn't work is because of greed. It all comes down to that. And this is a very small example, a microcosm of Nigeria in general. What we are seeing happening in the Nigerian fashion space is just an allegory for what happens in Nigeria all the time anyways with everything. Maybe I'm too optimistic, maybe I'm delusional, but I would like to believe that we're at a place where Nigerians want to demand more and Nigerians want to demand change. Even in this small sense of this superficial thing of fashion and the Nigerian fashion industry, we as consumers need to say, no, this is not good enough. We as consumers need to continue to demand, again, quality, fair wages, and adherence to our cultural traditions if we want to see something beautiful come out of this. Otherwise, it'll just end up like everything else. But that said, I do want to end this video on a positive note. I don't think that majority of Nigerian designers are like the designer in the intro. Actually, this was my first truly horrible experience with a Nigerian designer. All of the other times that I've bought or received or commissioned a Nigerian outfit, nothing like that has ever happened. Desiree Iyama. Anytime I have an opportunity to shout out Desiree Iyama, I'm going to shout out Desiree Iyama, because in addition to being such an amazing designer and craftswoman, she is also an amazing person. So when she saw how distraught I was by this whole situation, she took it upon herself to fix the clothes for me. She put on a bigger zip on the skirt, which should eliminate that issue, and she also sealed the ends of the corset string for me. So thanks to Desiree, my money wasn't completely wasted, and I am coming out of this with an experience and with, you know, something to think about, something to talk about. What do you guys think is the future of Nigerian fashion, and what would you guys like to see happen in the short term? Would you like to see higher quality? Would you like to see cheaper prices? And would you keep buying Nigerian fashion on its current trajectory? As I said, I can't wait to hear about your guys' experiences in the comment section down below. Thanks so much for watching my video. As usual, be sure to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like these. I will see you guys in my next video. Mwah.